We gotta figure something out with this. There we go. Now, if it could just stay like this 100%, that would be great. Okay. Oh, that's upside down. Then you want me to go back there? Then you want me to go back there? Said the young girl cruelly. Take care, Raoul. I have told you I should never return. There was an appalling silence between the three of them, the two who spoke and the shadow that listened behind them. Before answering that, said Raoul, at last speaking very slowly, I should like to know with what feeling he inspires you, since you do not hate him. With horror, she said. That is the terrible thing about it. He fills me with horror, and I do not hate him. How can I hate him, Raoul? Think of Eric at my feet, in the house, on the lake, underground. He accuses himself. He curses himself. He implores my forgiveness. He confesses his cheat. He loves me. He lays at my feet an immense and tragic love. He has carried me off for love. He has imprisoned me with him underground for love. But he respects me. He crawls, he moans, he weeps. And when I stood up, Raoul, and told him that I could only despise him if he did not then and there give me my liberty, he offered it. He offered to show me the mysterious road. Only he rose too. And I was made to remember that, though he was not an angel, nor a ghost, nor a genius, he remained the voice. For he sang, and I listened, and stayed. That night we did not exchange another word. He sang me to sleep. When I awoke, I was alone, lying on a sofa in a simply furnished little bedroom, with an ordinary mahogany bedside, lit by a lamp standing on a marble top of an old Louis Philippe chest of drawers. I soon discovered that I was a prisoner, and that the only outlet from my room led to a very comfortable bathroom. On returning to the bedroom, I saw on the chest of drawers a note in red ink which said, My dear Christine, you need have no concern as to your fate. You have no better nor more respectful friend in the world than myself. You are alone at present in this home which is yours. I am going out shopping to fetch you all the things that you can need. I felt sure that I had fallen into the hands of a madman. I ran around my little apartment looking for a way to escape, which I could not find. I upbraided myself for my absurd superstition, which had caused me to fall into the trap. I felt inclined to laugh and to cry at the same time. This was the state in which Eric found me. After giving 3 taps on the wall, he walked in quietly through the door, which I had not noticed, and which he left open. He had his arms full of boxes and parcels and arranged them on the bed in a leisurely fashion, while I overwhelmed him with abuse and called upon him to take off his mask. If it covered the face of an honest man, he replied sincerely, "You shall never see Eric's face." And he reproached me with not having finished dressing at that time of day. He was good enough to tell me that it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He said he would give me half an hour, and while he spoke, wound up my watch and set it for me. After which, he asked me to come into the dining room, where a nice lunch was waiting for us. I was very angry, slammed the door in his face, and went to the bathroom. When I came out again, feeling greatly refreshed, Eric said that he loved me, but that he would never tell me so except when I allowed him, and that the rest of the time would be devoted to music. "What do you mean, the rest of the time?" I asked. 5 days. 5 days, he said with decision. I asked him if I should then be free, and he said, "You will be free, Christine, for when those 5 days are past, you will have learned not to see me, and then, from time to time, you will come to see your poor Eric." He pointed to a chair opposite him at a small table, and I sat down feeling greatly perturbed. However, I ate a few prongs and a wing of a chicken and drank half a glass of Tokay, which he had himself, he told me, brought from Corniger's cellars. Eric did not eat or drink. I asked him what his nationality was, and if that name of Eric did not point to his Scandinavian origin. He said that he had no name and no country, and that he had taken the name of Eric by accident. After lunch, he rose and gave me the tips of his fingers, saying he would like to show me over his flat, but I snatched away my hand and gave a cry. What I had touched was cold and at the same time bony. I remembered that his hand smelt of death. "Oh, forgive me," he moaned, and he opened the door before me. "This is my bedroom. If you care to see it, it is rather curious." His manners, his words, his gratitude gave me confidence, and I went in without hesitation. I felt as if I were entering the room of a dead person. The walls were all hung with black, but instead of the white trimmings that usually set off the funeral upholstery, there was an enormous stave of music, with the notes of the Dies irate. Many times repeated. In the middle of the room was a canopy from which hung curtains of red brocaded stuff, and under the canopy an open coffin. "That is where I sleep," said Eric. One has to get used to everything in life, even to eternity." The sight upset me so much that I turned away my head. Then I saw the keyboard of an organ which filled one whole side of the wall. On the desk was a music book covered with red notes. I asked leave to look at it, and read Don Juan's Triumphant. "Yes," he said, "I compose sometimes. I began that work 20 years ago. When I have finished, I shall take it away with me in that coffin, and never wake up again. You must work at it as seldom as you can. You must work at it as seldom as you can," I said. He replied, "I sometimes work at it for 14 days and nights together, during which I live on music only, and then I rest for years at a time." "Will you play me something out of your Don Juan Triumphant?" I asked, thinking to please him. "You must never ask me that," he said in a gloomy voice. "I will play you Mozart, if you like, which will only make you weep, but my Don Juan, Christine, burns. And yet he is not yet struck by fire from heaven." Thereupon we returned to the drawing room. I noticed that there was no mirror in the whole apartment. I was going to remark upon this, but Eric had already sat down to the piano and said, "You see, Christine, there is some music that is so terrible that it consumes all those who approach it. Fortunately, you have not come to that music yet, for you would lose all your pretty coloring, and nobody would know you when you return to Paris. Let us sing something from the opera, Christine Daae." He spoke these last words as though he were flinging